Hello, dear students. Good morning. My name is Dr. Athar Munir and I work at Government Emerson College, Multan. Well, today I'll be giving you some tips for preparing the job interview. Well, we are living in an age where there is lots of competition. For a single job, sometimes there may be 50 to more than 200 candidates. And interview is the final recruitment procedure. After your CV or resume has got the attention of the recruitment managers and they have shortlisted you for one-on-one meeting, you're lucky because an interview is a golden opportunity to show your skills and talents within a limited time. Yes, I would like to remind you of one very important fact that an interview lasts only for a limited amount of time. You have got sometime 5 minutes and sometime maximum of an hour to impress the recruiting manager, to impress that you are really the right person for the job interview. And a lot depends on your performance in the interview. That interview may get you hired or you may continue searching for jobs. But we must not ignore that success in an interview depends upon performance during that time as well as how you prepare for it. So there are certain steps to prepare for an interview. Number one is carefully examine the job description. Wherever there is a job in the newspaper or on the internet or on the social media, you should carefully examine the job description. And now, what is a job description? The job description is a list of the qualifications, qualities, and background the employer is looking for in an ideal candidate. For example, the job may say that we are looking for a candidate who is well versed in the use of computer and has knowledge of several local languages. So the more you can align yourself with these details, the more the employer will be able to see that you are qualified. So the next step at the preparation stage is that you should consider why you are interviewing and your qualification. You should ask yourself that why am I applying for this job? Am I the right candidate for this post? You should have a good understanding of why you want the job and why you are qualified. And you should be prepared to explain your interest in the opportunity, especially why you are the best person for the role. If you yourself are not clear that why are you qualified for the role, then you will not be able to impress the recruiting manager. So another thing which you should do at the preparation stage is you should perform research on the company and the role. Now, researching the company you are applying to is an important part of preparing for an interview. And for this, you should not only research the product or service, but you should also do research on the role. For example, if you are applying to a multinational company like Coca-Cola, you must know what exactly does Coca-Cola do? What products does Coca-Cola sell? And what will be the advantage? The advantage of doing this research on the company and the role will be that it will provide you context for your interview conversations, as well as when preparing thoughtful questions for your interviews, you will be very well prepared for this task. Another very important thing is that you should consider your answer to common interview questions. An intelligent candidate always anticipate the questions and prepare them. And you should get ready to perform an action for jobs that may involve a test or evaluation during the interview process. For example, you have applied for the post of a computer programmer. During the interview, the hiring manager may ask you questions about computer programming. They may even ask you to do something practically on the computer. So you should be ready for that. You should anticipate the questions and you should be ready to answer them. Another important thing is there are certain recruiters who would like to ask you about your salary expectations. So you should be prepared to discuss your salary expectations with your potential employers. Now here are a few common interview questions. For example, why do you want to work here? Whether you have applied for the post of an English teacher or a journalist or a marketing manager, the very common question most of the employers ask is, why do you want to work here? So you should be ready to answer that. And you should be answering this question in a way that should show your interest, that should show that you are very well qualified for this job. Now the second question recruiters may ask you is, what interests you about this role? Why do you want to be the marketing manager, for example? Why do you want to be the English teacher? Why do you want to be the business manager? What are your greatest strengths? Yes. So this is again a very important question. So you should be ready to answer these questions and similar other questions. Now, what is the advantage of preparing and anticipating and preparing these questions is that interview is a time when most of the candidates feel nervous and anxious because it is a life-changing moment. A candidate may get a job offer or may get rejected. That is why most of the candidates, they are under great tension. But if you have prepared very well for the interview questions, then it is a possibility that you will be less anxious, you will be less tense, and you will be able to perform to the maximum of your abilities during your interview. Another thing is asking questions from the interviewer. So some people think that interview is something, an opportunity where the interviewers will be asking questions from the candidate. No, in my opinion, it's not like this. Interview is just as much about you finding a good fit for your own work environment as it is about the company finding a good fit for the role. So knowing that your values align with the company ensures a happy professional life. So an interview is a perfect opportunity to find out more about the company and show the interviewer how you will fit. So I would be sharing some sample questions with you which you may ask during the interview. For example, what does a typical day look like for a person in this position? Why do you enjoy working here? What qualities do your most successful employees have? I have really enjoyed learning more about this opportunity. What are the next steps in the hiring process. So the advantage, it has got several advantages. I think the most important advantage of asking questions from the interviewer is that it shows to them that you are really interested in the job. And you should also find out the type of interview you will be going on. For example, whether it will be one-on-one interview, or will it be a panel interview, or it will be a face-to-face interview, or a Skype interview, or a telephone interview. And you should never be afraid to ask your recruiter what kind of interview you will have if you don't know. And a very, very important thing is selecting your dress well in advance and trying it on. It's really very good to select your interview dress well in advance, because you will feel more confident and you will feel more relaxed during the interview if you wear the dress in which you feel comfortable and the dress which is according to the job. For example, if you are appearing for the job of a driver, then you should look like a driver. I remember once I was sitting in the interviewing panel as a member, and there we were interviewing several different candidates for different jobs. So a young boy came dressed in three-piece, and he was a candidate for the job of a driver to the chief executive. So that person was rejected because it was not expected for the driver to be wearing a three-piece suit. So you should dress according to the job. Now, another very important thing is you should have mock interviews, and they are the best way to relieve anxiety and improve your confidence. As I said earlier, an interview is an occasion where most of the candidates feel diffident and they feel anxious and tense. But if you have undergone several mock interviews before the actual interview and you have rehearsed questions and answers, you will be more relaxed and you will be more confident. So you should conduct as many mock interviews as you can. And if you are not fortunate enough to have another person, what you can do is you can practice your questions and answers loud. And it will give you an opportunity to refine your answers and commit them to memory. The more you repeat your interview, the more confident you will be during the real thing. Another very important thing is that you should print hard copies of your resume. You have sent your resume or CV to the recruiting manager, but you should print hard copies, multiple copies of your resume, because having copies to present to multiple interviewers shows that you are prepared and organized. Now the question is, how many copies you should have? My suggestion is you should have 4 copies in all. 3 copies to provide for different interviewers plus 1 copy for yourself. And during your preparation, you should read over your resume and rehearse explanations for any gaps that may appear or other oddities. For example, if if there was a gap in your educational career, or if there is a gap in your job, then you should be ready to give plausible explanations to the recruiters. And the last thing, but not the least, of course, is that you should prepare your travel arrangements. If your interview is in an unfamiliar area or even an entirely new city, it can be a source of anxiety to find your way around and make sure that you show up on time, because if you are late you will be anxious and you will not be able to perform well during the interview, so you may be rejected. So how to reach interview venue before time? You should leave early so that you may reach the place well on time. Another thing is you should search the location in advance, and it's very possible because most of the interviews are scheduled well in advance. So you should search the location in advance, and if possible you should go there. And if the interview venue is in the same city, go there, familiarize yourself with the building, find out where you will be parking. If you are if you intend to go there on your own conveyance, because if you go there on your bike or on your car and in the nick of time you find that there is no parking place, so you may be even more tense, even more anxious. So the golden rule is search the location in advance if possible. Another very important thing is that you should save the interviewer contact information, because sometime you may leave early but you are unable to reach the interview venue well on time because of certain agitation or certain other unforeseen circumstances. In that case, the best thing you can do is you can call the interviewer or you can call the other contact person and explain your situation. So that will save you from lot of trouble. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. Let me see you again in another video. Bye bye.